welcome to another episode of Michelle Davis Fitness. On this segment, we are actually going to be bringing up a legendary bodybuilder, athlete, the whole 9 yards, speedway collector, and my better half's good friend. Now, if any of you don't know, this is my better half, Gene Woods, the creator of WCOBM. Well, it's true. Yeah. And I had to bring him on the show because his good friend Steve from Florida came to visit recently with his wife and friends, and they all came to the Gene Woods Racing Experience, and they had a great time in Vegas. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his history. Has anyone heard of American Gladiators? I watched it back in the day. It's like back when American Ninja Warrior was no longer, and it was American Gladiators, and it was raw, and it was awesome, and I love those spandex suits, and we're going to talk all about that. But furthermore, hey Gene, thanks for coming on my show.
No problem. You forced me to do this.
I know you hate coming on this show, but you know it's your good friend, and I wanted you to kind of introduce him and talk about how you met him, and if it wasn't for social media, then that wouldn't be possible.
We probably would have never run into each other.
Yeah, so talk about how you and Steve met before we bring him on Skype.
Well, it was really cool. We've been corresponding through Facebook, and we've seen each other's posts for the years, and our common ground is speedway motorcycle racing.
Okay.
We both love the sport.
He raced. Did Steve race?
Steve raced.
Everyone raced.
Steve has a great collection down there that I always watch to see what he has.
Yeah.
And he came to Vegas.
Very cool.
And it was very cool to meet him.
And so through the years, you guys have kind of stayed in touch through social media.
Through social media, we have a ton of mutual friends because of Speedway, so it's really, really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what better yet is let's bring Steve up on Skype and talk about his life in fitness.
Well, first you better introduce him, right?
Well, yeah, Steve Luxton. Hey, how you doing, Steve? Thanks for coming on the show.
Former Cobra on American Gladiators.
Yes, well, that and many other things as well.
Yeah.
Bodybuilder, looked like he was in wrestling. So, Steve, how's it going over there in Florida?
It's going good. It's I'm back in the humidity now, so I threw my chapstick away.
Well, that's good. And you came to Vegas. Did you and your wife Julie have fun?
Oh my God, what a city! Yeah, we can't wait to come back. Yeah, it was great, awesome time. And, yeah.
Tell us about the go-karts at the Gene Woods Racing Experience.
Yeah, throw a cheap plug in there.
Well, I like to say that any pictures that have been posted on social media, total fake news. I did win.
That's right. With winning
there's a lot of confusion that my wife maybe gave me a good spanking, but it's not true.
Oh, okay, all right.
Absolutely.
But the go-karts, they're awesome fun. Everyone come on down, bring the whole family, and you guys even went to Woods Family Sandwiches.
Yeah, he got the full Woods treatment while he was here.
Yeah. You got Woods sunglasses and
got the whole the whole package. It was awesome, and my friends are still talking about it. We had a great time.
Good.
And anybody that's in Vegas right now, if they like go-kart racing, then that is the place to go. It is awesome. So get out. I know Gene will probably tell you some more directions. I know it's right there by the airport. But, what a great time.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys had fun. The cool thing about this whole thing is not just the American Gladiators. That's his history and his past.
Yes.
But the really cool thing is his connection with Speedway motorcycles.
Which we're going to talk about a lot.
Oh, we're going to talk about that later?
Yeah, I had lots of time I saved for that because, furthermore, Steve and I, we met and, like, right off the bat we started talking about bodybuilding because I'm in bikini and Steve wasn't in a bikini. He was in a Speedo. But he was on stage glossed up back in the day, and he talked a lot about it, and I really liked his honesty when it came to a lot of the things that have to do with the sport, and your wife as well when it came to a lot of things in that direction. She was a professional ballerina.
Yep.
Which is beautiful. I love that. That's right. That's the awesome ballerina pose you do. The Nutcracker and everything with the holidays. How was your Christmas?
Yep, it was awesome.
Good,
in fact,
good.
Son is now dancing, and he was in the Nutcracker. He was the prince of the Nutcracker, so he's following father's footsteps.
That's so cool. So you have a whole family of athletes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your past. You
Okay.
can bring up some of the pictures my awesome board operator Scott has for us to show.
Careful which ones you bring up about his past.
Now let's
Oh,
talk about this picture. What
Yeah.
is this picture we're looking at, Steve?
That's a meet and greet at the Gladiators. That's you get to meet the fans, and that's another Gladiator behind me. That is Tank, I believe.
Okay. Now your name
Yeah.
was Cobra.
Yeah, and I got to pick out the name myself,
How'd
which
you come up with that name?
always being into cars, obviously, I'm named after Carroll Shelby.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Oh, that was one of the cool things.
Okay. This picture, you're in a bodybuilding pose. Obviously, you're competing.
Yep, that's for the Mr. West Palm Beach in Florida
Uh huh.
back in the '90s, and that was actually the last time I competed.
Wow. So, what made you want to get into bodybuilding to begin with?
Actually, I'm not one of those people that kind of got sand kicked in his face and said, "That's I'm going to go buy a set of weights." I was actually a competitive cyclist for about 7 years back in the, dare I say, 70s.
Uh huh.
I was a kid.
Okay.
I started to read more and more of working out and nutrition and things that really weren't available to anyone at that time. It was not easy. We didn't really have health food stores or the products that are out there now, protein powders, all that stuff. None of that existed.
No way.
Well, they
no,
didn't even have
nothing.
McDonald's in England at that time. Come on.
Well, they didn't.
Well, so Steve, you're originally from England,
Yep.
and you came to the United States when you became an American Gladiator. I think that's
I came before, and
Uh-huh.
it was Bob that led me to come over.
okay.
I had the opportunity to come over and work out over here, which is a totally different world compared to the gyms in England back at that time.
Interesting.
Pretty much, back alley kind of dungeons and, underground places. They weren't the fancy gyms that we all saw in the magazines, like Gold's in Venice Beach and stuff like that. That was just, things that we just did not have. So the opportunity to come over here and work out was something I kind of jumped at.
So what is your intake on bodybuilding when you did it and comparative to what it is now?
Well, with the sport being the way the sport has always been, obviously people are always trying to get bigger, obviously, and get better and improve. And, if you look back 20 years before I got into it, those guys don't even look like they worked out nowadays. So, it's just evolved. The problem really, and it's always been that way, is, the professional side of the sport is always been a total different level to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's a tough sport to compete at and basically stay, what should we say, clean.
Right. Yep.
One have to make that decision at some point. Am I going to go to that next level? Am I going to commit myself to do this thing?
Mm-hmm.
For most people, once they get to that stage, it's an easy transition, and for other people, it's kind of the end of the road, and that's where they no longer pursue that road to the pros.
And I like your honesty and your input on that, because it's one thing for someone to get involved with bodybuilding for a couple years and say they're a personal trainer and give people input on their Instagram or whatever, but to have someone be involved back in the day when there was nothing and have the years and years of evolvement to see where it's gone and look back and see all the progress, or kind of if it isn't progress, it's just kind of an interesting way to look at the sport, how it's changed in so many ways.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, it's just kind of obviously going to end up going to that side where it's always been there's always been that level of freaky.
Right. Right.
The first sport, and
Yep.
and the first time you see, a totally, over the top bodybuilder, no matter what level you're at whatever age, that's kind of, the benchmark set by that person or those people,
Mm-hmm.
and its mark has always been pushed higher and higher.
That's true. Yep.
Hard to recognize half of the stuff in the sport nowadays. I'm not really involved too much.
Yeah.
Uh,
But what you are involved in is Speedway, and that's where you're a big kid and you love to have fun. And we're going to talk about that fun sport because you have quite a collection that Gene has always been drooling over. He's like so, obsessed with your man cave. And I want to show some pictures of your collection here. And can you tell us a little bit about how you loved Speedway, how you got involved? I mean, look at that picture. Is that a collection or
Well,
what?
not only is it a collector, but he actually has raced competitively a few times in New York. I agree, right? Am I correct?
Yep. Even though I'm fat and old and very
Oh,
slow,
stop it. Oh, stop.
I feel like there's me. That's me racing actually in Plymouth in England.
So how did you get involved in this sport of Speedway?
Well, my hometown is Exeter in the county of Devon, the southwest of England, and they had a huge racetrack there. It was very famous for Speedway. And back in the early 70s, I was taken there to watch a Speedway meeting and pretty much fell in love with it at that moment on.
That's awesome. And so from there on out, you've just loved it. It's always been your passion, and it seems like you have so much knowledge and you know the history of it to where you've even become probably one of the best Speedway collectors. You basically have your own museum. Does
Yeah, I
he
do,
have his
and
own museum?
Yeah, he's got a collection there.
Yeah.
I have a yearly party every year, and I give money for sponsorship. And so that picture you're seeing right now is
Oh, that's cool.
one of my parties, and I'm doing a kind of a presentation. My next one's coming up in March. I've already got some riders lined up and teams lined up for sponsorship for next year. And I just try to give back because I get so much sent to me
That's good.
from people I've never met, but that I know of them and who they are and their history, and I'll get a little note one day saying, I need your address. I got something for you. And you don't know if it's going to be, a badge or, a whole race suit.
Right.
The things that show up are just astounding. And it's just, I try to display everything. Definitely running out of room. So I'm going to convert my wife's shoe closet
There
pretty
you go.
soon.
No, I'm just kidding, Julie. He's kidding. He's just kidding.
Not watching this, I hope. But,
So
Yeah,
tell me again, when is the event you're having?
Yeah,
You
we're
said
gonna
in March?
we're gonna try to make it down there, I think.
this year it's going to be on March 17th.
Cool.
Trying to squeeze it in before the Speedway season starts. There's quite a few people make it over from the UK every year, so there's a kind of a short window between when the weather kind of warms up and is comfortable and before the Speedway season starts.
Absolutely.
So, this year it's going to be March 17th.
Awesome. And so for anyone out there who is a Speedway fan, or they want to maybe get more information and they want to contact you, whether it's email or social media or your website, what information do you have that you can give out to the viewers?
I'm currently working on a website, which I never really felt like I needed to, just because the social media is just really crazy. And but it's kind of, I guess, the stage I need to now for the people that are not on there. So I don't have a website yet, but they can reach me via Facebook in some way. I'm pretty easy to find, or I don't know if you can post my email address up if you wish. Anybody can contact me through that.
If you want to throw out your email real quick, what is it?
It is sjluxton@att.net.
Awesome, and that's LUXTON, everyone, for Luxton. But it was so awesome having you on Skype and talking about, your glory days at American Gladiator. I bet that was exciting.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was. I can't remember what it was. I think I was in my early 30s when I made it on the show. So it was one of those like sports careers you never figured you'd have, and it really just kind of fell into my lap. It wasn't something I was out searching to do, and it just kind of came my way. So I was very fortunate. But
That is
yeah, it was
such
great.
a good story. And do you still
Yeah.
have those spandex outfits?
Yes, yeah. Actually, I'm wearing them right now.
I
but,
knew that. I knew that. Yeah.
I won't stand up. I
No?
won't stand up.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to squint anyway, so it's okay.
Nobody wants to see it. No.
Well, very cool. And I appreciate you so much for taking the time and being a guest on my show. And for anyone out there that is aspiring to be a bodybuilder, what advice would you have for them?
I would definitely say get educated, because so many of the tips, as we call them, or advice through the years that were handed down to me, was like folklore. It really wasn't mechanics and common sense. So working out smart, as soon as you figure out the body mechanics and the nutrition side of things, and not everything and all the bullshit that's surrounded by the sport and handed down by, guys like me and such. Get educated. Go and get certified by a really good what's the word I'm looking for? Federation or
Yep. The ISAA or NASM or
the good ones. Some of the top ones are not always the best. I'm not going to throw names out there, but there are some great educational courses that you can take. And once you start to figure out how the body works, you'll start to work out in a totally different way. And you'll realize that half the people, maybe, I'll even go more than that, probably 80% of the people working out in the gym, they're pretty much doing at least half the stuff they're doing is incorrect.
very good.
So what kind of advice do you have for old antique speedway riders that are...
What advice? Same advice, really. I think the range of motion of exercises, most people don't get, where a muscle inserts and what its job is to do. Everybody thinks they do. And just the control of certain muscle groups to help other muscle groups while you're working out is huge.
I was thinking more like if you were thinking about riding speedway, you should probably just have your head examined and be the easiest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, or, maybe a brain scan to see if there's one in there.
That's right.
Oh, you too. Well, Steve, thank you so much, and Happy New Year to you guys.
You guys, and hopefully you can make it out in March.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you.
All right.
Sounds
Thanks again,
good.
Steve.
All right.
Talking to you.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Steve Cobra Luxton. All right, you guys, stay right there. We'll be right back. You're watching Michelle Davis Fitness. See, you're
I'm
making me
watching Michelle.
nervous. You're making me nervous. We'll be right back.